With our geometry, cameras, lights, and materials in place, we're ready to render. It's the final step in producing an animation. What I'll do is first bring in one more piece that would really complete this station. I've modeled a sign that says tickets, and we'll put it atop the ticket booth. I'll click on the Max icon, choose Import, and Merge. In the Scenes directory, I'll browse down and there's Ticket Sign. I'll select it, and in the dialog, pick All to bring in all the objects. When I bring it in, I need to say use the scene material so I don't overwrite the bronze I've used, even though it's the same material in both. Now I'll take this ticket sign and move it on top, going to a top view by pressing T, F3 for a wireframe, W for move, and spacebar for selection lock. I'll grab this sign, pull it over on top of the ticket booth, press F for front view, and Z to zoom extents selected. I'll pull this up and snap it right on the roof of that ticket booth. I'm going to put mine off to the side, just over the corner here, because asymmetry is good in Art Deco. I'll zoom in and make sure it's visible from the front, pressing F if I need to turn off the snap, and I think I'll align mine right over that main beam. In my camera then, I'll look at it in shot 2, pressing C, and F3 to go back to shaded. This is all the same kind of merge we've done. I have one more thing to do here. At the moment, the sign and the frame and the post are three different objects. I want to pick the sign and parent it, or select it and link it to that frame. Temporarily, I'll isolate it so I can see what I'm doing. So there's my sign, and there's the sign frame. I'll pick the sign and choose Select and Link up on the main toolbar, clicking and dragging over to the sign frame. It flashes briefly for a second, letting me know it's now a parent. What that means is if I select the frame, the sign goes with it. Now I can rotate this, animating it over time. I'll press N for Auto Key and scrub forward. I'm going to say that this sign revolves once every 4 seconds. I'll go over to frame 96, press E for Rotate, A for Angle Snap, and spin this around 360 degrees. It's animated, but now I need to make it spin continuously. I'll pull up that curve editor one more time and select that Z key for rotation right here on the blue line, which is a linear interpolation, meaning it'll rotate constantly. What I'll do then is under Edit, I'll choose Controller and Out of Range Types. What these define in animation for us is how something behaves after the keys. I'll set it to loop and click OK. And now this will loop 360 degrees forever. So when I get in my scene, this sign will be constantly spinning. I'll exit the isolation and press C for camera, going back to my shot 2, and playing. And what we can see here is the ticket sign spins around, adding life to this animation. And as we stop it, just keeps spinning. Now we'll get the render set up. I'll press F10 for the render setup, or click on the render setup button. I'm going to render, let's say, shot 1 first. And this is over the active time segment, all 192 frames. So I'll click Active Time Segment. For shot 2, I'd go by a range and put in 0 to 72. My size is set, and I'll scroll down and get an output file set up. I'll click Save File and go to Files. As you can see, I've done some rendering already. There's some EXRs, which is a still image format used for sequences, and it carries a lot of color with it. ILM developed this one for part of their process. I'm going to render this out, let's say, as a movie. I'll call it Station Final. It's important to name this so we can actually find it and give Max an idea where it's going. I'll click Save, and what will happen is it pulls up the dialog for QuickTime. I'm going to run this as an MPEG-4 video and click OK. One last thing here. Under Indirect Illumination, I'll drop down where it says Project Final Gather Points from Camera Position, and I'll change this over to Project from Positions Along Camera Path. What it means is it's going to divide each frame by a number of segments. Here the default is 9. And look at the final gather, the bouncing and regathering of light, forward and backward from the frame it's on. so that the bounced light is smooth between frames and doesn't jump based on the geometry we're seeing at the time. I'll lower this divide number down. Maybe I'll try 4 and see how this looks. And I'm ready to hit render. I'll make sure in my Common tab that everything is set, and I'll make sure I'm in the right view, Shot 2. I may want to name the file for that shot, although I can probably go in and rename if I'd like. I did say I was going to do Shot 1, and so it's good I checked one more time. I'll drop down under Shot 2 and pick Cameras, Shot 1, and now I'm ready to render. I think I've tested everything through. My lights look good, my cameras are smooth, the materials are good. Everything's ready, because this is going to take a while. I'll hit render, and Max will start in, calculating the final gather, and eventually producing me either an image sequence, a still image, or a movie. This is the point to set up before you leave, so it runs overnight, because this is going to take some time. But at the end, we'll have a movie. It's doing the final gather, and we can see just barely 4 images, that 4-part division resolving, and then it'll start to render my first image of the movie.